Why do we laugh every time?
Good, gorgeous morning, as Amanda always says.
Oh my God, we're so hilarious. Every time we start,
We think we're
hilarious. Yeah, I think we're hilarious. Whenever we start, we giggle for some reason. But anyway, here we are. Hello, everybody.
Howdy. I'm just on my phone because I'm updating the links to my group. Okay.
Yes. So welcome, everyone. We realized we didn't exactly tell you what we were talking about. Normally, we send out an invitation. We tell you what we're going to do, but we didn't do that today. But we are talking about tools of the trade, as you can see in the description.
All kinds of tools.
All kinds of tools. So here's something funny. So Michelle and I, someone was telling us at Circle last week, Mike Kulik was telling us how we compliment each other so well. And so we're having a chuckle as usual because
who said thank you?
Yes. Well, I think I said, I know, right? I think that's what I said. But, so we're talking tools of the trade today. And Michelle wrote me on her way here and said, I brought some tools, but I was mostly going to talk to mental tools. And I was like, oh, that's so funny. I didn't even go there. I've got a whole table of tools, like physical tools, laid out here next to us. So once again, we complement each other.
Good
well.
balance.
Good balance.
There are so many tools.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of you probably know that. You're probably overwhelmed and inundated when you go into like any kind of a metaphysical shop. And,
yeah.
I didn't think to bring a pendulum. Anyway, sorry, I just got distracted. There's so many things to choose from when you get there. And I know when I started my journey, I didn't really know how all the tools worked. And I didn't really know how to choose the tool that was going to be right for me.
Yes.
And
like what each one, like, because they have intentions and there's specific reasons we use specific tools. And that I found a little like that's a learning curve, right?
Totally.
Just learning.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I just want to remind you, if you're watching and you want to comment here on the side, apparently you have to get out of mobile view. Is that what Selena
That's
told
what
us
Selena said last time.
So if you are in mobile view, you might not be able to see the chat box, but we'd love to say good morning to you. So if you wanted to comment in your chat box and say hi, we would say good, gorgeous morning, as Amanda loves to say.
As I do love to say.
I like to say it too. I'm not going to lie. I stole that tool.
And how many of us stole in the past? Come on.
Okay. All right. Okay.
No, but it's something I started saying somewhere along the way, and it brings a smile to my face whenever I hear it. I'm just checking in the group here, just make sure that the link worked. Okay.
I think it did because I copied it and it's working online.
Coolio. Awesome.
I'm not sure where it went.
Okay. It's good stuff.
So
tools. Maybe let's break them down into maybe mental and physical. And then I also go like a little bit further in my mind. Like I break them down in like cleansing tools, intention tools.
Can we talk about entry tools?
Yes.
Because I don't know about you specifically, but I know for me, my journey started when I was about 18 and I had my first deck of tarot cards. I was really young, right? But most teenage girls, maybe teenage boys too, maybe I shouldn't gender that,
yes.
But go through, before, oh my God, I totally forgot about this.
What?
The Ouija board.
Oh,
did anybody ever play with a Ouija board?
I would have never thought of that as a tool, but yeah.
It's starting your connection, right?
Yeah.
My friend Hillary Smith had a Ouija board, and we used to go to her school or her house every day after school, and we would play with the Ouija board. And one of our friends was like not into it because she was really very Christian, and I was very deep in my Catholic belief, but I also was like, what is this other stuff? Yeah. I love the Ouija board. So that was probably my first ever gateway tool.
Mine, I don't know that it's really a tool, but I guess it is, was incense. Incense was one of my first things that I, fell in love with. Someone gave me an incense burner and I felt like a rebel a little bit, like having this incense burner in my room because it was like older girls had incense. I don't know. But the smell of it, would connect me and bring me into feelings. And so even still to this day, like when I smell incense, it brings me back to my bedroom with like whatever music I was listening to, which is another tool, right? Releasing emotion, listening to my incense.
At a very high level, the purpose of spiritual tools is to engage all of your senses that perhaps you aren't used to using all of the time. So with Ouija board, you're using touch. With incense, it's a sense of smell. With tarot cards, you have touch, but you're also kind of starting to explore. And with Ouija board, the sixth sense.
Yes, connection.
Some other
intuition.
idea of knowing outside of you. Good morning,
Hi, Patty.
It's so great to have you here.
Yay.
What was your first tool, Patty? Hit us up in the comments.
Oh, yeah.
Let us know
what
your tools have been. So yeah, my first tool was a Ouija board, but then tarot cards. And I really started exploring like the whole idea of messaging through the use of tarot. When did you get into cards?
Cards were not until about 5 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So really,
cards were never. Tools were not a part of my journey. Like nothing was a part of my journey aside from like nothing that I could consciously say I was using as a tool. Mm-hmm. Now, like in retrospect, things like books and those were like more. I was going to say more basic tools, but I mean we can't call books basic, but more accessible. More accessible, more mainstream, right? Like anything that was alternative or spiritual just wasn't in my world at that time, you know? So books would have been the gateway for me into.
And we've talked about books before, I think in our first video.
We did.
Things that kind of spearheaded us. You know, I'm glad you brought up books because for me, they've been a really important touchstone in my journey. It was about maybe 8 years ago. I came into awareness of the law of averages, and I was introduced to it through my direct selling company. Mm-hmm. They were talking about it as a philosophy. And one of the things they talked about in that philosophy was that you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And so 8 years ago, I was at home with my 2 kids. So they qualified as 2 of my 5.
Yes, they do.
And at that time, I was pregnant too. So maybe Ellie was out then. Anyway, I don't know. Lots of the kids took up the majority of my 5. And then my husband was the other. And then the 5th, honestly, wasn't actually a person. It was inputs. So like I was watching The Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, like really kind of invasive programming. And that becomes your 5th influence. So how high can you rise?
Right.
When only one of the influences in your life is positive and loving and an adult. Right. My kids were positive and loving, but they
require stuff from you. You're giving. Right?
Books become your 5th. Mm-hmm. Books and videos like this and other programming like you can watch on like Gaia TV or anywhere on YouTube. There's so much stuff.
Like everything, right?
There's so much stuff. But you want to remember that those kind of inputs are tools that really increase your vibration.
Oh,
Bev,
Patty.
You're here too.
Okay.
Good morning.
So Patty says Ouija boards were evil when I was growing up. Yeah, me too. I think books and cards were my first tools. I'm going to venture to guess for most of us, books and cards will be because they are like we said,
they were in bookstores. Right?
They're more mainstream. You can access them. You didn't have to go to a metaphysical shop to get that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So in recent years, though, you were starting to talk about your tools. So let's share some of what you got.
Okay, so let's talk about some different tools. I have some sitting here for me. So like I said, I kind of in my own mind, I break them down into tools of expansion, tools that are clearing. So let's start with some clearing tools, okay? So we've got our sage, our not typical, like one of the 4 main plant medicines that are used for clearing. So sage is one of them. I also have this is cedar, which is one of the other plants that are used for clearing, and I have it in a spray. So we can get them in different ways so that they're more accessible depending on what you want to do. But the intention behind these plant medicines are to bring us into the moment, to clear the energy field. Sage has some incredible antibacterial properties, as do the other plant medicines. So these are your go-tos for clearing. This particular tool here is a smudging tool. Okay, to help move and dissipate the smoke throughout the room. It's also a tool that I would consider a clearing tool because I use it, to clear energy off of clients, off myself, off people.
I just want to jump in and say that when you're speaking about smudging specifically, that's an Indigenous tradition. There's particular ways to use it, right?
Correct. Yes. Yes. Thank you.
So, do you want to share a little bit about that?
About
like what is the difference between using sage and smudging?
Well, I don't know that I would say there is a difference. You see it as a different thing?
Well, I know they have a different protocol.
Well, I mean, and
like they use their hands
to teach different things. You're not wrong in that, yes, traditionally you'll see in a lot of indigenous cultures, they'll take the smoke, they'll clear the third eye. But I can't really speak to the protocols of Indigenous culture.
Okay.
But in terms of,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. In terms of using it as a clearing tool, yes, you are right. So to the head, to the eyes, to the throat, to the heart.
When I had somebody teaching me about how to properly smudge, which is not the same as sage, she told me that I have to introduce myself to the plant. I have to introduce the land that we're standing on so that the ancestors from that space come and assist in the clearing, and to talk about what the intention is before we begin to bathe in it.
That's where I was going to go next, is to the intention, putting the intention into the tool for what it is that you're utilizing it for.
Mm-hmm. So go.
Okay. So, well, I mean, that's your clearing tool. Okay. Let's see what else. I use all sorts of different plants in my healing and in my ceremonies and different things I do. So here I've got some rose petals, which are a tool that I use.
I have rose petals on my altar.
Do you? Yeah. So these are almost gone. So these, for example, I'll use in a bath for myself. A woman who's here going through a transition. So I'll do ceremonies for a transition into menopause or all different sorts of transitions. We'll put a woman's feet in some water and we'll fill it with the rose petals. So infusing the water with love. It's a tool of love. It's a tool of connection. So we've got that.
A lot of people use crystals as a tool. It's an early accessible tool, right? Like Amanda's got a couple of them here. I didn't bring any of my crystals today because I knew Amanda had enough for both of us. But the reason we use these different crystals is because they hold vibrations. Maybe I'm jumping ahead.
No, go.
I'm thinking that I'm making an assumption that everybody knows what I mean when I talk about vibration. So I didn't know this at the beginning of my journey. Maybe you do, but everything has its own vibration. You have a vibration that's unique to you. I have a vibration that's unique to me. And everything, like including crystals, have their own vibrations. Your words have vibrations. These tools have vibrations. And so like when we're saging ourselves and bringing that smoke onto our skin, we are inviting that vibration to release anything that's blocking our own vibration.
Well, it comes back to intention, right? So when I'm coming around the room and I'm saging the room, my intention when I'm opening circle is to clear the space. Right. To clear the space of the energy that was there prior, to clear your own physical body of whatever energy you've brought into the room. So I think it does come back to intention. When I put rose petals into the water, as I'm doing it, I'm imagining like the water filling with love and her absorbing that into her feet, and it comes up into her heart center, right?
So the intention is its own vibration. This is how we share energy.
Yeah.
And so people are drawn to crystals because there's something. So the two things happen with crystals, and actually the same is true with essential oils, which are a tool that I brought some of. You will either really be drawn to something, like, oh my God, I have to have that stone. Oh my God, that's my stone. Or you'll be like,
I don't like how that makes me feel. I don't like how it looks, whatever.
I'm going to tell you, most importantly, the ones you reject are the ones you need.
What's that one? I'm sorry if you don't mind me bringing it up.
It's okay.
I was going to talk about
it. Well, I managed
it really blew me away seeing it around
her. But fluorite, it's a beautiful stone. It looks a little bit like green aventurine, but it can come in really green shades and it can come in really purple shades, and they have usually like streaks of color through them. It's a beautiful stone. And the first time I ever touched green fluorite, I was in Lilydale in New York State, which is a spiritualist community, the oldest spiritualist community in North America. And I picked it up and I immediately started to shake. And this is strange, but my teeth started to sweat, like my mouth was filling with hot water. I had to put that stone down. And that lasted for years. Like it was only 2 or 3 years ago that I'm really afraid of fluorite now, because every time I'd pick it up, I would have that reaction. And like people thought I was making it up, but like you said,
yeah. I mean, I certainly
because I do tend to be dramatic.
Yeah,
I make no bones about that.
I certainly didn't think you were making it up, but I was just like, whoa, that is a serious reaction.
I was like, I've never
seen that before.
I couldn't handle it. Yeah. Anyway, when you're rejecting it, that's because it's a tool that you need to come into alignment with. That's the oil that you need. It's the stone is in conflict with your vibration. And if you're trying to get somewhere that you can't get to, you need to bring those things that you are in conflict with into your realm so that you can achieve what you're trying to do. Everybody thinks that spirituality is supposed to be comfortable, that we're supposed to be like all rainbows and sunshine, but healing sucks.
It certainly can be challenging.
It's hard. that's why that's why I consider myself like a spiritual warrior or a spiritual gangster, because like I am moving through dark places personally on my own personal level, and assisting my clients as they are moving through their, Emma calls it, or sorry, Nancy calls it the dark night of the long night of the dark soul, or something.
The dark
like
night
that.
of the soul. Yeah.
She uses long.
Okay. The long dark night of the soul. Yeah.
Maybe that's what she says, the long dark night of the soul. But that's the truth. Like, you're going to go through stuff. And so when you come up against a tool that doesn't comfort you, sometimes you need comfort. It's okay to take comfort.
Yeah, I was going to say that, like it's good. It's all information, right?
Right.
Like, so like I would have the same perspective as what Michelle's saying, but yeah, what she's about to say is that sometimes you do need comfort,
Yes.
right? And in those dark nights of the soul,
Yes.
I do go to tools that comfort me and
Yes.
lift me out, and allow me to move through it easily and gracefully. And I would say
Yes.
more in the light is where I find those
Yes.
triggers.
Yes.
So I'll be in the light and I'll come into something that doesn't feel good for me. And that's information of like, oh, that's interesting. Like, why am I rejecting being cleared? Or why?
Let me go back to that.
Yeah.
When I'm in a better place.
Yeah. Why am I rejecting? I was talking in the member video today about rejecting writing down goals, which is another tool, right? When Michelle's going to talk more about or mental tools. So goals are a mental tool that we use, to move ourselves forward, or intentions, or whatever. But we often resist writing them down, getting them on paper. And why? I often.
Oh, sorry, everybody. I did not mean to push you away. I love you. Don't go away.
Yeah, like I have to catch myself every cycle, every day, like to write down my to-do list. A to-do list for me is a tool that gets me through. Like it shows me my to-dos always connect back to my vision, like to move myself forward in some way, shape, or form.
And that's a really practical tool that I think most people can relate to.
So when I'm in like what I might consider a good place, but yet I'm not using my tools for my goals. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? What am I pushing against? What am I resisting? Because I know how powerful my word is. I know how powerful my written word is. So if I'm not using that tool, or I'm resisting that tool, just like if I'm resisting a stone, there's information there.
Did you bring your journal? Speaking of physical tools and your powerful word.
Yeah.
This is not a tool that I have ever embraced.
This is a Uchechi tool. Uchechi, this particular one is. But so this is real-time journaling. This is a tool that I do for myself, where I write things exactly as if they already exist for myself, as well as affirmations exist within here. So this is my written, physical, very practical tool.
They're really powerful, though. I remember Amanda was sharing one time she had written something 3 years before, and we were sitting at a table planning something together.
That thing on the napkin? Is that what you're talking about?
I don't remember if it was on a napkin. I just remember that there was something you were like, holy shit, everybody wait. And then she ran off and she came back and she had written out exactly what we were talking about 3 years before. Yeah. This is how powerful that can be.
Yeah. And this is why we resist it, right? Because we know, and like, we were saying before we went live, I love you, victim, right? Doesn't the victim love to be like, I have no control. I don't know. Right? I know if I write it down.
We all know.
It's a tool that is proven to work.
I do work with some physical tools, but I tend to be more of a cerebral person. I think a lot. I don't necessarily visualize so much. Well, I try to visualize, but what I usually see in my I've never said this out loud before.
Oh,
here you go.
Here we go.
Michelle first. What I usually see when I'm visualizing are the words that I'm supposed to be visualizing. So like if I'm supposed to be visualizing green, most times I'm going to see the word green across my forehead.
And let's remind everyone, this is proof. You can't get it wrong.
You cannot get it wrong. You cannot get it wrong. But there are some tools that I use frequently to bring me into myself. And one of my favorite tools is a labyrinth. Now, I don't have an actual labyrinth to bring in here. Do you know what a labyrinth is? A labyrinth is a pattern that's usually on the ground. And I think, there's a whole bunch of different styles of labyrinths. But when I first got introduced to them, it was through this amazing series of books that I read that are labeled as fiction because they're written by an underground organization, like a religious order called the Paschal Christians. But this book is called The Book of Love. And in the Book of Love, this doesn't sound like something I would totally read. They talk about labyrinths. That was how I first really got introduced to them and invited in them. And she was saying that when the labyrinth was created, it was to help people become closer to the purpose of the prayer, the Our Father. which I thought was really fascinating. So since then, I've gone on like explorations of labyrinths, and I love them. And my friend,
I'm getting something.
Okay, you go. My friend and local artist here in Durham region, Julie Lockhart Thompson, made finger labyrinths. And for a long time, like the tree was my symbol, was my emblem for my business. And then I saw this one, and I'm like, Julie, I have to buy it. So you can see that like it's a path, right? And you walk in, and then you're following it through here. Oh, even just doing this, I'm sorry.
I know I touched yours and I was like, oh.
Like my heartbeat starts to slow down. I'm coming into center. And that's what's happening here. This is slowly walking us into the heart. And so when I'm working with a labyrinth, I'm usually going in with a question, or I'm seeking some affirmation, confirmation, guidance. And I hear so much shit when I'm in a labyrinth. It's crazy. I love it. Okay. But on the finger labyrinth, I'm using this more to slow down. So I use this in times when I need to prepare for a client and have had some turmoil happen in my day, and I'm not sure that I'm in the right headspace to settle in. I use this to help me. Really, when I got it, I was in the throes of anxiety, and I used it to help manage my anxiety, to slow down my breathing. And really, it just brings you back to center. I will find a link to share.
Just wait, pause. Because you're ready to freak out. This is why I'm sitting here with this down like this.
Oh.
So 2 years ago, the fabulous Julie Lockhart Thompson came to Women's Wellness Circle, and we made finger labyrinths at Circle. And guess who's hosting in, what month are we in? March? In April, and doing freaking finger labyrinths with us. Yes, I haven't announced it yet.
You've got to come. If you're local, you've got to come.
I had to get something taken care of before I can post it. Right. So I hadn't posted yet what we're doing.
Oh, that's amazing.
And Julie is coming to Women's Wellness Circle. Michelle had no idea. I haven't told anybody. I only just confirmed this yesterday, or a few days ago. Okay.
So we'll share that link with you. So you can
come. And so we made finger labyrinths a few years back at Women's Wellness Circle.
Awesome.
And Julie taught us all about them. Yeah. And you can see mine says, "Show me the way." So I come into my finger labyrinth with an intention, and I allow it to show me the way. And we're going to create this tool. We're creating tools at Circle. You can't make this shit up.
The other physical tools that I love to work with that really connect me
to... It's going to be the Julie show.
A little bit, right? Julie, really connect me to my affirmations are malas. I'm wearing one right now. I have a whole bunch of them. Yes, it is awesome. I'm glad you're all excited. Come to that labyrinth event. Julie is amazing.
Here's Selena. Hey, Selena. Welcome home, girl.
So,
wow.
Malas are used traditionally in Eastern religions. So that'll be like Buddhism, Taoism, Hinduism, those faiths. And traditionally, you use your mala to chant. Now, I was raised Catholic, as were you. Mm-hmm. I liken this to like the Catholic rosary. They're prayer beads, okay? Mm-hmm. And there are 108 beads on a strand because the body has 108 chakras that you can physically affect. You have 112, but those are the 4 blooming consequence of the alignment of the other 108. So you're going to chant, traditionally, you chant something in Sanskrit. So like Om Mani Padme Hum, or even just Om, you can chant that over and over. I'm trying to think of another one that was right on the tip of my tongue. It's gone now. But these are all said in Sanskrit, and they have different chants to bring in different intentions. Okay, and those books are taken. Those mantras are taken from the Vedas, which are their spiritual texts. So just like the Catholics would do like the Our Father and the Hail Mary, their prayers taken from their spiritual texts.
Repetitive, intentional. Right,
to bring you to wherever you're going. So I use my malas in kind of a combination of the traditional sense, because I do use the 108, but I use affirmations, and I speak about what I'm trying to create. Affirmations have been instrumental in my success in the last couple of years, and I have to really give a shout out to Bev for helping me to get out of my own way about the truth of affirmations, because she really helped me to pivot on what I had thought. And if you're anything like I had been, I had a hard time with affirmations because I felt like I was lying to myself. And Bev pointed out to me that whole statement was really in contradiction with my beliefs, because sometimes you have to pretend to get to the vibration you want to be at. You should feel uncomfortable, as we were just talking
Right.
about. You have to.
And it creates a space, right, where that
For
can
you to step
exist for
into.
you if we know that our word
Yeah.
is creation,
And I'm
right?
sure that other people have said that to me, but it didn't really land for me until Bev, like, as only the people who are closest to me would dare to do, lovingly smack me in my face.
Speaking of that, so she says malice have 108 beads.
But if they have 54, then you have to do it twice.
But she's just saying rosaries have 54. Isn't that interesting?
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
Rosaries at 54. Thanks, Bev.
That is interesting.
So I use these to chant affirmations on. And so my affirmations
Yeah,
are,
give us an example.
well, lately I've been working with I am rich,
Okay.
I am wise. Remember when I was working with Amanda last, we came up with a bunch of stuff for me to work through. And so I took from that, I am rich, I am wise, I am relevant. And the other one that I've been working with occasionally is I'm connected. And so I say all four of those. On Sunday, after our gathering at the Spirit Healing Academy, instead of doing hands-on healing, we chanted
how
affirmations
beautiful.
on here. It really was. We've done that before. One that I love to use that I don't want to forget to talk about because we're running out of time.
Yeah.
And we were
Although I
talking
don't
about
think
this
they seem to
tool
mind
this
when we
morning.
go a bit over. Someone said to me, "You guys don't have to cut off at 20."
Well, that's good to know.
Yes, thank you.
You brought this one up this morning, the Ho'oponopono.
Yeah.
I use the Ho'oponopono a
Yes,
lot.
I did this morning.
On my mala.
I laid in my bath and
Good.
worked through it this morning.
I was
I told Michelle I went to all my tools I needed to today, and that was one of them. Yeah.
So if you don't know what the Ho'oponopono is, it's a Hawaiian prayer tradition that essentially is you repeating over and over again, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. And I'll tell you, I chant that a lot while I'm driving because I don't get any red lights when I'm chanting the Ho'oponopono.
Isn't that fun?
So maybe you want to try that out?
Maybe.
And the only other tool that I wanted to share, aside from like those mental things that I do around meditation and breathing, you've kind of touched on a little bit.
They're all here. Yeah.
Is essential oils. Do you remember when I had a line of my own essential
No, I
oils?
don't remember that.
You don't? I had a whole bunch. I think there were like 10 different blends. So this is my old Spirit of Healing logo. Anyway, this one is the Happiness
Happy
Project to help you become like smells that invite you to feel happy.
Let's see if I'm resistant. Actually, don't do them all and then give me some. I'm not going to
love that one. Okay. Do you want me to tell them what they all are?
Yeah, you can tell them, but then I'm going to close my eyes.
I didn't bring all of them.
Yeah.
I created a blend for people who were going through the awakening process to help them feel a bit more comfortable and assimilate to what was happening in their life. This one is Force Field. This is designed for protection to help push people away who are maybe.
Ooh, that's another
not
umbrella of tools.
Protection tools. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
maybe we need to do like another.
Yeah, I think we do because I'm seeing here that we could really distill it for them into clearing, protection, intending, release.
Right.
That's the four I've thought of.
This one is calming.
Expanding. That'd be another one.
We're going to make notes after this, right?
Yeah.
So remember. This one is calming, helping people come down from their anxiety. But I worked with a local woman who was an aromatherapist, and she had all of her own oils and high quality stuff. And I was working with spirit and channeling what people needed. And so I created, I did bring awakening. I created a whole bunch of stuff and then I did nothing with them. Yeah, I remember hating this one. So funny. The tool to help you awaken. I'm like, yes, get that away from me. And this last one is for letting go, helping you just set down your story, your worries, your fears, your frustrations. Yeah.
Well, maybe we won't do a taste test right now because we do have to get going. But we're going to do that after, okay? I want to see.
For sure.
I'll tell you. I'll put in the comments what I like and what I reject. And let's see how it relates to it.
You let us know in the comments what some of your favorite tools are.
Mm-hmm.
What have we not touched on here for you? Because, as we were just talking about protection, sage is really great for protection. Right? That's why we use
Palo Santo,
right?
As well. Yeah. I have a stick over there. But okay, so let's just recap. Okay. All right. So tools are about, connecting to the senses, expansion.
Yes.
And do you think we could say, like, in general, tools are about expansion, expanding protection, expanding intentions, expanding your awareness?
Yeah.
I might be reaching there, but
no, I think expanding. And I was thinking expanding and advancing.
Yeah.
Like just moving you forward.
Tools, like, assistance in your journey to move you forward.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, I'm just looking at us and I'm like, we're a bunch of tools.
Well, we are.
That's not going to come out right,
but we move each other forward, and we move our clients forward.
That's funny.
We are their
Selena
tools.
says her crystal bracelet is one of her favorite tools.
Oh yes.
Okay, so sorry, back to recapping. So that's what we were saying about expansion and using tools to advance you forward in your journey, under the umbrellas, perhaps, of clearing, intending.
And really to let you know you're okay, you're on the right path, right? The oracle cards usually when people are using them is to draw like a message saying everything's fine. Essentially is what can happen.
Right.
Again, there's Amanda laughing at us because we're tools.
Yeah.
I'm gonna change my whole brand now. I'm your tool. Whoa.
This could go a lot of places.
So we're just gonna bring it back.
Yeah.
And say, I guess I'm gonna say thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun. I didn't mention, I did just finish writing a book of affirmations called In the Past.
Which I'm going to pause here and say is a huge tool for so many of you watching, I know, and myself included.
In the past itself, that phrase.
Yes. Yeah. That's a tool right there that Michelle, can I talk about it for a second? Then you can talk about your tool. But, you know, we were saying about like just creating that space, like with the affirmations, how that Michelle talked about that, but creating a space. So when I use this, this statement in the past, immediately it gives me this space where something can be different, as opposed to an absolute of I'm such a loser. You know, in the past I was a loser. That was a harsh one.
But it's how I feel.
Yeah, you know, like, and that was one that I worked with way back when.
In the past I was failing.
Yeah, in the past
I felt like I was failing.
Because it just was in the past.
When
right
you
now
say
is right now.
That in the past, it shifts the vibration around you and it lets the universe know that you're waking up. Mm-hmm. That you're waking up from what you're creating when you speak in absolute statements. And when you say, oh my God, I'm such a loser. Wait, no. I'm going to say, in the past, I felt like such a loser. Why couldn't I get this right? Mm-hmm. The universe is like, oh, she's ready for something different. There's a new seed out there.
Yeah. You know where I catch and use it a lot is when I say I always. Like,
oh, yeah.
I always blah, blah, insert statement here that I don't want for myself. Yeah. And I'm like, look at the power of I always to in the past. And you could still use I always, but in the past, I always used to. But now it's the present. It's not the past anymore.
It will literally change your life.
It will. And Michelle's written a book. Sorry, I'm going to let you talk about it, but I pre-ordered it. I'm very excited. So please tell them.
So I wrote a book called In the Past where I explain that process a little bit more. And I introduce you to 85 different affirmations that I have worked with to great effect in the last several years, not just myself, but with clients as well. And they are organized under 7 different umbrellas. Can you guess why 7? That's right, because you have 7 major chakras. And each of those groupings are linked to a chakra to allow you to accomplish feeling empowered, building trust, creating abundance, self-esteem, these kinds of things.
It's phenomenal. I've seen it and it's phenomenal. Like really, Michelle, it's so beautiful. And I love like being at Circle or out or wherever. And I'll just hear someone be like, you know, in the past. And I'm just like, I wonder if they even know where that came from, you know? And I know there's several of us that are always like, as my friend Michelle Scrimmy says, you know, in the past, but I've seen this piece of art that she's created.
It really is beautiful.
And, you know,
so if you wanted to pre-order that's at spiritedhealing.ca/book.
Let's put the link for them.
Very simple.
Yeah.
spiritedhealing.ca/book.
And we'll put the link for you too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So when we have it, I'll bring it on camera and I'll show you live and in person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that'll be a big tool. If I do say so myself.
It is. It's a huge tool. It's a massive tool. It's already a tool that exists right now, just in the mental plane, right? And then interesting, it's going to be in the 3D physical world for people, you know, like that's pretty awesome. Yeah. Thanks for writing it.
Love you. Love you too. Mm-hmm. And we love you.
Yes, we do.
Oh, so much.
Patty says it's very powerful and Selena uses in the past daily. Mm-hmm. Good. All right. Well, I guess that's it. So it's time to head off.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
We love you too, Patty. We love you too, Amanda. And yeah, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
We're going to be on the Spirited Healing channel.
Yeah.
Which is not this channel. This is the Rise with Amanda.
Rise with Amanda channel. But yeah, we transfer
and maybe
back
we'll
and forth.
continue talking about tools, unless you have something else you want us to talk about.
Yeah, start to let us know. Like,
Throw us some
tell
ideas.
us what you want to talk about. We love doing this, and
And we love that you love it.
thanks for being here, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.